And good morning, Hoosier Nation, and welcome to another disappointing edition of Hoosier Morning After. This is Hoosier Morning After Kansas. Yesterday afternoon, your Indiana Hoosiers go on to lose in a really tough end of a game to Kansas, 75-71, taking IU to 7-3 in the season, and still obviously 2-0 in the Big Ten. IU came out in this game playing great, aggressively, taking a comfortable lead, playing some fantastic defense, playing just out of their minds from Trey Galloway. We'll get into his, but took that 8-point lead into the half, feeling good, feeling energetic. Assembly Hall in full throat, despite students being on break. It was great to see that. The stripe out, I think, was a big success. I really liked the look and what they did with that. That was really awesome from IU and from Hoosier Nation's standpoint. Just in that second half, things started to fall apart for IU. First, we started to get a little bit careless with the turnovers. Obviously, in the first half, more turnovers in the first half, 9 turnovers in the first half, just 5 in the second half. But it's the start of that second half, and those turnovers were a little careless. But we weathered it, and just IU overall just really started to get tired too. You saw the legs of a lot of the guards. Coach Woodson, we've argued before in past games about Coach Woodson doing too much of the hockey-style substitutions. And he did rein that in a little bit more in this game, almost to a bad default, where it was maybe a little too much in this. Guys were definitely tired. We just needed a little bit more subbing here and there right before the media timeouts, just to get Trey a little bit more rest, get Cups a little bit more rest, because Kansas really started to break down the guards at the end there. And overall, you could see Indiana's offense was a little more stagnant in getting north-south in that second half. And Kansas overall just started to make some really good shots. And that's, in the end, what put Indiana on its heels. And thanks for being with us, guys. I'm your host, Chad Schwarzkopf. We'll see if Martha might pop in here at some point during the show. Martha had told me that it was a pretty busy Sunday as youth sports are cooking out there big time in Indiana. But just overall, a tough game to watch and really sad, really disappointing. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. It's more of those just disappointments, because this was a game that IU really needed. A big resume builder, a big non-conference win to hang your hat on come Selection Sunday. And IU didn't get any of those in this non-conference. So we're going to have to do some work now as we get along into the Big Ten schedule. But obviously what we take away from this game is some amazing play by Trey Galloway. He really just kind of played out of his mind. I just love what he brought to this game. And a lot of the game, the two-man game that we saw from him and Ware was really great. Those little curl swing screens to get Trey downhill, to make him have the ball in his hand and have the decision to continue to go to the basket or lob it over to Ware. And the majority of the time, he kept the ball with him and was able to score. And then making those threes that he did. He made 2 threes. That first one that went in, I know you all, Hoosier Nation, we felt a good sigh of relief. Felt really good for him to see that go in and everything. And a career high points for him. 28 points for him in this game. And overall, I will say, I'm not sorry to say this, but IU wins this game if we have X. I wholeheartedly believe that. I think 2 things win this game for IU. Having X, having a little more depth of production in the backcourt. And then the other, as I'll get into a little bit deeper as the show goes on, just a little more production from the guys underneath. And IU wins this game. X is a big factor in a game like this to get some own points down the stretch when IU was struggling to find the offense. finding and breaking down the defense and getting a better looks for our big guys to get them going. Those are the kind of things just in general that I think he brings to this IU team to get them over that, dare I say, hump that this game gave them. McKenzie, I thought, had a really good game as well, had a really good first half. I think he struggled in the second half. His defense has gotten a lot better. Again, he's going to struggle here and there once he is playing against some of these other teams, because he's going to match up on a smaller three. A lot of other teams play a smaller three, so he's going to struggle a little bit defensively for that. But 14 points, 4 for 9 from the field, 2 for 4 from three. Did miss his first free throw of the season, went, I think, 37 or so, or 35 or 37. I'd have to look that up, before missing a free throw. Record still stands then. Jordan Hall's, I think, still has the record of most consecutive made free throws with before a miss. But again, liked his game overall. He ended up getting 4 fouls, and I think that was why he sat a good amount in the second half. I think in the second half, he only played, looking those stats up now, he played 14 minutes. So I think he needed to play a little bit more. We subbed him out and everything. That's a little bit of the frustration for me with that kind of benching guys in foul trouble, especially impact guys like McKenzie could have been, because if you're sitting him and you are scared of him getting that 4th or that 5th foul, then you, in essence, have already given him yourself that 5th foul by sitting him out. Play him in there. We needed him in there. He needed to be out there and make plays for IU, and let him get that 5th foul then and sit. And it'd be the same thing as if you were sitting him with 4 fouls. So that was a little bit of frustration, because I really do believe that once he was subbed out, it allowed some of Kansas's players, which guy was it that was on him? Was it Jackson or McCullough? It allowed them to rest on defense, because at that point he was on Banks, and Banks wasn't doing too much, and IU wasn't going to him. So he was able to take the defensive side basically off and rest and stay in the game. So it's kind of what IU's lack of bench production and threat allowed the Kansas team to do and take advantage of what IU was putting on the court. Now, with X obviously being out as long as he was and is, and we'll see, Jen was kind of asking what is wrong with X, and is he ever coming back? Jen, I don't know. IU's kind of tight-lipped with that. I've heard reports of weeks. I know he's probably hungry to get out there. We'll see once he does finally get out there. I hope he can contribute, and I hope he can get back to his ways. I don't want him to rush back too soon, because we'll need him as the season gets going farther. But I think Cupps is doing great in the stead. I mean, we're asking a lot of a freshman that's out there, a freshman that, if X is healthy, would probably only be getting 10 to 15 minutes in this game, in the games, and would only be asked to go out there and rest him, do some energy plays for IU, get some rebounds, do things like that. And what we're asking him to do is really big. And he stepped up really well in the shoes that he's asked to do. The one grief that I would say is that I'd like to see him at least try to get his a little bit more. He ends with 2 points, 1 for 4 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3. He took that last 3 towards the end just from desperation and the clock and where it needed to be. And he was open. He's got a good 3-point shot. I'd like to see him at least take a few more while he's out there. But that one basket that he did make was a great drive to the rim. And I'd like to see him take those a few more for this team, because I think that is something he can contribute. And he needs to, if he's going to be in this role. He's done a great job so far facilitating things, getting things going. Now, the next step for him, and with these 2 games coming up, this is the chance for him to do this, is to find his own, be a threat on offense as well, draw things away from a few of the other players, and be another weapon out there offensively. That's the challenge for him. And it's a big challenge. Again, we've already put a lot on the plate for Gabe Cupps, and I am ecstatic the way he has stepped up so far, because he is doing more than we would have ever thought he would need to do for this IU team at such a young age. And this is just going to end up reaping dividends for IU, because this is what he's going to become in his latter years for IU, is because he's getting battle tested right now. And so I'm excited for the future with him, and I'm thankful for what he is contributing to IU so far. So I thought he did pretty good in this game. Like I said before, and I teased earlier, where IU was lost is underneath from the front court. IU's front court combines for 8 for 25. And if you look at that stat alone, if you were able to draw up this stat sheet, and that is one of the things you saw, and you didn't see the final score of this game, from what you know of this IU team and how we have scored and what we do this year, you would have thought that IU lost by 20 points. For the bigs to go 8 for 25 combined, you would have thought it was a blowout. I would have too. It's just not what you wanted to see from the front court guys, and that's a testament both to, I will say to Kansas. Kansas has a very good front court as well. Adams is just an athlete. He's strong, he's physical, and he was able to cut things up. And Dickinson, we know who he is and what he can do. And I was a little disappointed in IU not exploiting a little bit when we did have our starters in, when we did have both Malik and Ware in together. You saw them match up where Dickinson was playing against Malik and Adams was playing against Ware. I feel like Indiana did not expose that 6+ inch difference between Ware and Adams enough, and go to Ware and allow him to get a few more points. He ended 3 for 12, took 2 threes that he missed, but was 5 for 6 from the line. So he did get to the line a little bit, but felt like he needed to be a little bit more aggressive. And I did see somewhere someone had posted in these big games against UConn, Auburn, and Kansas, Ware is gone 7 for 30 in these big games. So while his effort in motor has definitely not come into question here at IU, like we heard in Oregon, it's definitely some of his production against other teams that have very elite bigs as well that he is struggling. And hopefully he can pick that up and find his own game, find it back, get where he needs to be in those. I think he can. I hope he can. He needs to for IU to move forward. And Malik as well. I thought Malik did a pretty good job. Dickinson against him, obviously being the veteran big man. That was smart coaching by Self, because Malik does have great footwork. He does have that great back down and those little shakes and jiggles and spins that he does. He's able to get open. And he did get open a time or two. There was one time where he really shook Dickinson and got to a very wide open hook shot, and he missed it. Maybe shocked that he was open so much, but in other points, Hunter was doing a good job denying the pass to him and not letting them get, not overall, both Adams and Dickinson, not allowing our bigs to get into comfortable positions down underneath. Part of that was some odd foul calling by the refs. I think the refs in this game, I think it was Jim with IU Sports Beat posted this or said this. And if you follow me on Twitter, I'd said over and over again, the refs were just kind of assuming calls. We're thinking that calls were coming or fouls were coming. And what Jim said as well is that the game was just too fast for these refs and everything. And that's on both sides. I think IU was called for some things, and equally Kansas on the other side was called for some things, but it just allowed for some interesting rhythm. And our big guys have to be able to adjust to that and be able to play through that physicality and that fouling. And they struggled to do so in this game. And the bench as well. I posted at the halftime that this was going to be won by who was going to win from the bench. And I mentioned before, a little bit of the substitutions for IU allowed their defense to take some time off because the bench guys weren't being any threats. Obviously, Woodson shortened his bench a little bit. Again, I would say that's a little bit to the detriment. I think that guys need a little bit more rest, especially in the second half, just a few spells. But overall on the bench, I did think that Anthony Walker came in and contributed some good minutes. He ended up just getting 3 points. Those were all at the free throw line because he did a great job, again, finding those windows and playing within himself and the game that he can play. I thought that a lot of the minutes that he played as well were those minutes where Trey and Ware were able to play their two-man game. He did some great things spatially for IU when he was out there with his man. And if you look at, again, the plus minuses in this game, he was one of only two players on the IU roster in the plus field. McKenzie was the first that had an astonishing for this game plus 12. Shows why he needed to play a few more minutes with that foul trouble. And Anthony Walker was plus 3. So he was obviously out there during some of those good lead minutes in that first half, and maybe needed to be in there towards the end of the game to contribute a different look for IU. When he is in there for Malik, he plays a different game than Malik does. Malik wants to get the game on the block. Malik wants to be able to do his little hook move, whereas Walker plays a little different. He's not going to necessarily, he will get it on the block and take it in, but he's going to catch it at the elbow and make a little drive and a little floater. He's a little bit more dynamic in that sense. And I think that opened things up a little differently for IU when he was out there. So I like what he contributed. But IU needs more from CJ and Caleb. They need to get in there and at least make those energy plays. Do something to get the crowd going. Get that steal. CJ, get a steal and a run out. And make some points. Try do something. And there have been games this year where they have been that contributing factor. And they have been that reason. I think it was, Banks in the Michigan game that was a big contributor. And they just weren't those contributing factors in this game. And I think that's kind of, I said at the top, the two things, but I will say it's maybe possibly three things that contributed. The bench, the X being out, and the lack of production from the big guys. But again, this is a top 10 team. And this is a well-coached top 10 team. And coming into Assembly Hall and coming into this game, how Indiana played in its last and how it's played, a lot of us would say, maybe in the back of my mind too, that we didn't expect IU to be up at the top as much as they were and to be able to get going. And it was great to see. And it was a heroic effort by Trey Galloway that did that for IU, that allowed IU to even have a chance in this game. So hats off to him. Coach Tonsoni in the Assembly Call post-game show, as he was there in the press conference and saw Trey walking around afterwards, was exhausted. And I imagine he was. But what a great game for him to at least see and get that confidence built. And I will say that same thing for Malik. It was a great confidence building game for Malik. He is getting that alpha mentality. He is having those moments. Now, it only came for one half for IU, and he needs to bring that throughout for the full game. Again, he is still just a freshman and figuring things out, and he will continue to build. And if you could graph things out for Malik, he is continuing to trend up for IU, and he's continuing to contribute great minutes. Just alone that moment in the game where he, in the first half, I believe, he dribbled the ball up, took the ball up himself, and was confident to go, yeah, I'm going to hit a three, and took a three and nailed it. That's the confidence we want to see from him. That's the great things that we need to have from him moving forward, and we will continue to see from him. That threat and everything from him, and from Trey having games like this, and X when he comes back. It's just going to open up things for where we currently have our feast right now, and that is underneath from the big guys. Now, IU has 2 games coming up, Morehead State on Tuesday and North Alabama on Thursday. And as always, you don't want to take these games for granted. You don't want to take them too lightly. But these are perfect games to get guys a few more minutes, to get guys some rest, to allow the bench to find some more rhythm and find some plays, for Mackenzie to build on what he has been building on, to let the big guys get some confidence back, because their confidence took a hit in this game. And I know that it won't affect Malik much, but it may affect Ware. And for him to get out there and have another dominant game will be good, and we will look for IU. But overall, IU played 30 really great minutes in this basketball game, which would be enough in any other matchups, but not against a top 10 team. And to close out these games, we had to have better personnel, and personnel that could contribute in the way. And we just didn't have it in this game. And right now, we are still sitting okay in the season. We're still sitting with a full Big Ten season to come. We hope that everyone else stays healthy, that other big guys get healthy for IU, and that we continue to move on the way upward. It'll only get better for IU as we move forward. I am confident in this team. I know everyone's feeling pretty low right now, and frustrated with the coaching staff, frustrating with the bench and what we have going on. But hopefully the sleep and the good old message of this podcast of allowing your initial emotions and everything to settle. Hopefully you've got your morning coffee, you're settling down, listening to me talk here, and hopefully we feel a little bit better about this team moving forward. We've got a very energetic fan base. And again, I will tip my hat to you, any of you that are in attendance. A little warm tea with some honey is going to help your throats. I heard you guys. I listened to Don Fisher. I always like to sync up Don Fisher to the games, and I can hear you guys in the background. In this game, I also kept the TV on to a little bit of volume just so the announcers weren't bothering, but I could hear you in full throat there cheering on in Assembly Hall. It was great to see. And great energy that provided in the first half. And that was a big contributing factor to IU getting going. And Trey is an energy guy like that. And he fed off of it and did some amazing things for IU. So overall, like I always say, I'm excited for this team moving forward. I'm excited to where they can keep going. IU is poised right now within the schedule with these 2 games coming up Tuesday night and Thursday night. Quick turnaround for the guys to get some rest, but some games where we can get some good contributing factors moving forward. I will say, as we finish up here, with Martha not being here to be able to say this, but we are entering the holiday season. And with the holiday season, I know a lot of times you can't get to these games. And if you can't get to the games, especially now, if you know ahead of time, it might be questionable. give those tickets on over to Hoosier Ticket Project. You can go to HoosierTicketProject.com. They will tell out information about how you can donate those. They will find great homes for people that can't get to IU games, that don't have the means or the ability to get themselves to these IU games to cheer on the Hoosiers. They will find homes for them, and it's just such a great thing. We've got these 2 games coming up. I know that a lot of people will miss or could miss. So if you're thinking about Ticketmaster or how you're going to use those tickets, think about Hoosier Ticket Project in the end when you go. But overall, guys, I think I'm going to wrap things up here. And again, I don't feel defeated by this game. That's not the D word I'm going to use. The D word is just disappointed, because they had a chance. And that makes me feel positive as well, to say IU had a chance. If you look back at a lot of the very struggled games that IU has had this year, other games where we felt a lot more defeated, we would never have thought that IU would play a game like this against Kansas. And it is in IU's ability to play games like this and get good games. It's just going to be tough for IU to find that consistency overall. With the personnel currently IU has, they are doing their best. And as we continue on this season, things are going to have to weather, and different guys are going to have to step up. And hopefully guys find those minutes and guys feel that confidence. I will continue as an IU fan to feel confident for them, send all that positive energy I can towards them, and cheer on these Hoosiers. But for now, that's going to do it on this edition of Hoosier Morning After. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for listening to this Hoosier fan rant for 25 plus minutes about a disappointing outing for the Hoosiers. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at General Chadwick. There you can find out more information when we're going to go live and everything. Thank you to those that I see that have joined in the chat. Matt, Greg, Jen, all of you guys there. Tony, great to see you. Hello to those on X listening and everything. Great to have you guys here as well. And those of you on the podcast platforms, I see you guys out there listening to us. Don't forget to follow and be with us again after IU's next game, 7:30 every morning. Thanks for being with us, guys. Until then, go out there, have yourself a wonderful day, and let's go Hoosiers.